How do you support an autistic child to build friendships and stay safe when they're connecting online? I'm going to start by talking about in-person connections. I think a really good tool to use when you're facilitating these in-person connections for your child is their passionate interests. Autistic children often have very passionate interests, and some of these interests are shared by other children and indeed other autistic children, things like Minecraft. And so if you can find an activity group that your child's going to want to go to because they enjoy that interest, then that's going to make it easier for them to feel relaxed and comfortable and in the right place to potentially make friends. I think it's also important to note that if your autistic child is saying that they don't actually want to hang out socially, it's important to notice, is that because they're too anxious to and they might actually benefit from it, or is that because they're really comfortable in their own space and their own company and they're getting enough social contact outside of the home, perhaps in school, and to not feel that you need to force friendships. Additionally, another resource for autistic children and friendships in person is that you could look up specific groups for autistic children of the age that your child is at. So I know that in my local area there are youth clubs for autistic teenagers, for example. So it would be worth having a look at your local area's offer to see if there's something where your child's needs will be understood, but they're also in a place that they can socialise. I'm going to move on to talking about online friendships now. Online friendships can be really valuable and useful for autistic children because there's a lot less pressure. You can do it in your own home with all of your needs covered, and it's a little bit more straightforward, and there are rules that are easier to understand. So I think it's good to include those kinds of friendships, but you also need to make sure that they're staying safe online. Some places that you can find friendship as an autistic child navigating online are servers for specific games. And for example, I know there are lots of Minecraft servers, and I would recommend as a parent that initially you play these games with them so you can get a feel for the server and see if it feels like the right environment for your child. I think it's also really useful to learn to navigate social media yourself. A lot of autistic children and teenagers are hanging out on social media, and it's really hard to know how to keep them safe there if you don't understand the world that they're interacting in. So I use a lot of social media and I understand it really well, and that means that I'm able to know what the red flags are and how they need to stay safe. Another place you can go if you want to learn more about how to keep your kids safe online is the police online safety website, and there is a specific section for keeping kids safe online and lots of resources and information, and we'll link to that in the description box. Once you're clued up about what the online world looks like, it's important to start to teach those lessons to your child, just as you would teach them to cross the road. So you need to teach them about red flags online, about not giving away personal information, all the stuff that you'll find on the police website. And I think it's also really important to create an environment where it's easier for them to stay safe. So this includes things like, for younger children, I'd say specifically under the age of 11 or 10, to be using the internet in communal spaces. So you might be doing something else in the same room and you would hear their conversation and you would be able to pick out those red flags for them. And I think it's also about creating an environment where it's okay to make mistakes online and that no one's going to be cross with you, so that if your children are coming into any difficult situations, they feel happy and comfortable to come to you rather than feeling scared that they might get told off.